Again, welcome to this meeting of the Finance Committee. Today is Monday, April 25th. And seeing no public comment, we will begin with our action items. First is our purchasing agenda. Mr. Oberst.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Schottky and committee members. Purchasing agenda should be hopefully a brief meeting. Purchasing agenda, just two items for your consideration. The first being an increase with the increased energy costs and the colder than average spring we've had. We've need to modify our blanket order for natural gas, additional $525,000. And then the other item there is to also amend or adjust the blanket for temporary employee service, primarily for administrative employees, as we continue to struggle with talent shortages. As you'll allow, we use them a lot through, as I mentioned, administrative employees, building secretaries, this office, secretaries, administrative assistants. So we need to add another $45,000 to that blanket. And that is it. You may recall at last week's board meeting, we approved a couple of major construction projects, the Innovation Central final bid packet and playground. As those, we need to get that stuff in process with supply chain issues. Sooner the better. So this is it for this month.
Okay, questions or comments? All right, hearing none, may I have a motion for approval, please?
So moved.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Great,
Donations.
thank you. And then one donation for your consideration. This is through Fox Subaru, and we had a similar donation last year. And this is $500 per teacher for 15 teachers at Cesar Chavez. It's through Adopt a Classroom, so they don't really get cash. They get an access to Adopt a Classroom, which has a catalog of school supplies that they can choose from, up to $500. And last year, Burton Middle School was chosen. This is part of a national program that Subaru has, and not really sure how they went about selecting us for 2 years in a row, but nonetheless, we are happy they did that. Both the ED, MIDA, and the building principal would like to accept this. They can use the additional supplies. So that is for your consideration and approval also.
Thank you. Questions or discussion?
I'm wondering if do we ever show them what we buy with that? The teachers
Not
say-
specifically, only that they know what is on the website in terms of supplies, and so what's each specific teacher, I'm not aware that we let them know specifically, because they have an idea what's on that website. Now, we like it because it kind of ensures that money gets spent the way it should be spent, right? And supplies. So we've had some interesting stories from years past about supply purchases, and this limits it to truly supplies that can be used in the classroom. So.
All right, thank you.
Adoptaclassroom.org, are they local then, or is that a national
I
group?
do not, no, I think they're a national marketplace. And again, before we accepted this, I had a conversation with Dr. Nelson. It was Burton Middle School last year to make sure everything went smoothly, and it did. In this case, we have 15 teachers is all we have at Cesar Chavez, so it works well. Last year, for those who are around me recall, it was actually 10 teachers at $500, at $5,000, and we had, I think, 13 or 14 teachers at Burton. So we needed to ensure with Dr. Nelson that those 10 teachers were appropriately chosen or potentially share. They couldn't expand it, and they wanted only 10 teachers. In this case, only 15 teachers, but we had to make sure it was a fair process, if you will, which it was, and it worked out well. So.
Sounds like an awesome program.
Yeah.
Definitely needed. I move acceptance if we're ready for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Support?
Great. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Donation carries.
Perfect, thank you. And then down the report items, the financial dashboard report through March, which 8 months into our year, and things are tracking pretty consistently as expected. We have been in the process of developing, just to give you a preview for or summary, some of what you'll see at next month's meeting is Amendment 2 to the current budget, which we'll bring to you at the May board meeting. But no real issues there. One of the challenges I think we've talked about before in this ESSER environment we're in now, and using some of those ESSER dollars to offset general fund costs, is it continues to be a challenge to keep track of that stuff in the right buckets. It's changing rapidly, so we need to get a better feel of what that really looks like to get our budget amended, the second budget amendment, which needs to be substantially what we think the year's going to come out to be. So Rhonda and our staff been working diligently on that, and we're still on schedule for that next month, right, Rhonda? as of now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. And then behind the dashboard report is a regular additional detail if you so desire to get into the weeds, if you will. So, any questions I can answer?
None.
Mr. Smart, we have a bond construction update for us.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
How are you?
Good. You too?
Good.
Excellent, excellent. So let's start with Union High School. The renovation work, last month I told you we were working on punch list items, and the work has been completed now, today, so that project is closed out now. The roof projects, at Union, roof project, it's underway right now. We have had a very rainy month, so that has delayed things a little bit. But we are still on track to be completed with the project before our students come back. So that's moving along. Moving on to the Ottawa High School project. Again, last month I had mentioned to you that it was going to start in April. Again, the rains had something else in mind, so we are pushing the start for that project for a few more weeks. It'll be in May, and again, the same completion before the students come back. The last project that I have is a Central High School HVAC project. We did finalize the bidding process. We are in the process of analyzing all the bids. We have concluded the post-bid interviews with every subcontractor. There were no concerns during the post-bid. They all had very good solid numbers and justification. So we're right now in the process of analyzing them, and we're looking into the alternates to see what alternates we will be taking. Whether there are some deductive alternates, there are some voluntary alternates from the sub. So we're in the process of doing that and working on reconciling all the costs. We're also anticipating then receiving a guaranteed maximum price, a GMP, from Rockford Construction within the next few weeks. And I think that probably next time you see me, we'll have all these numbers for you.
I have a wondering, I know that we do Grand Rapids first considerations for bids, general bids, right? Does that also, is there any consideration or points given to prime contractors for their subcontractors that may be Grand Rapids based?
Yeah, that's all part of that
There is
first,
a
yes, yeah.
examination.
Now, located, and or if they have a majority of their contractors that are within the city limits also, too. Yeah.
So that is a consideration and factor
consideration,
that's
yeah.
given points.
Well, I didn't bring that information
Yeah.
with me, so I'm gonna go from memory. I did ask for that information from Rockford Construction, the construction manager. And 97% of the dollar amount in the contracts are going to Grand Rapids-based companies or greater Grand Rapids companies. The other 3%, I believe, is staying within the state, of course. There is a company from Lansing and I believe one from Muskegon. So the vast majority of the contracts have been awarded to companies locally. We did invite about 3,700 contractors. We reached out to them. Out of those, 10%, that was 372 contractors were minority contractors, disadvantaged businesses, business enterprise. So there were 372 of them that we directly contacted and requested participation. We only received three. Three of those companies provided bids, and out of the three, two of them were the low bidders and were awarded their portion of the contract.
Right, good, thank you.
Yeah, how is it going with that kind of a focus where you're looking at minority businesses? Are you finding that the contractors are technically capable, or they don't know the bidding process, or they need some education on how to get these kinds of bids? What are you guys finding out?
I'm not prepared to answer that, but I have my notes. Last time I was here, you guys, you gave us some good advice, which I intend to follow up with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to be talking with minority contractor associations, and we're going to be having, I think you suggested some, greet and meet to go through the process. I just have not been able to do that yet, but I have not forgotten that, and I think it's a great idea. I believe that we are here to develop relationships with our community, and that's a way to do it. So,
Do we pre-qualify those contractors? Do we know their bidding capacity or limits? So, if we're inviting 372 minority contractors, do we know that they have the capability? I guess that's along the same lines of question. Perhaps you don't, but I'm just curious about the pre-qualification process.
Yes, on a project like this that was this large, we did not do the pre-bid qualifications, but the post-bid is extremely important. That's when we actually go through every single line item, including capacity, and that's when we begin to then weed out the ones that we believe will not be able to achieve the work. We do believe also, and Rockford Construction has been doing this for a long time, and they have some long-standing relationships in the community too, that through that process we kind of know the companies that can handle that. Those companies that are new, we do our due diligence and check references and begin to ask more questions for us to get to know them a little bit better before we get to that.
Yeah, Rockford, for your knowledge, has a great program internally called Dimensions, where they work alongside minority subcontractors to help them through and educate them in some of these processes too with working for Rockford. So
Correct.
I know they certainly have that commitment. A desire of mine, maybe consideration for further conversation, is if we might be able to offer a bid discount in the future for contractors who support the Academy of Design and Construction by either participating on that advisory council or hiring students out of GRPS. And if they could show, I don't know what that would look like, but I will never stop advocating for that program, as I think it's an extraordinary one that a lot is missed if we are not including the ADC in the construction processes that we have.
Great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Other questions about our bond update? Okay,
Thank you
thank
very
you so
much.
much.
Just one more thing. I'm just wondering, just in terms of, we've had a lot of upgrade and rehabbing going on. I'm just wondering if we could celebrate that, where you invite parents in, they hear all these millions of dollars that are going into our schools and stuff, and some of them do see it, parent-teacher conferences, I'm sure, but really to be able to say, this is what the money's going to. This is the computer programs, this is the CAD, whatever. Anything that we can do to really celebrate the upgrade. I mean, even air conditioning, just, teacher technical skills that they have. This is what we're doing with this board that looks fancy, but this is what it does. I just think we should celebrate a lot of what they don't see either. You're not seeing this, but this roof is solid.
Yeah.
And just being able to celebrate all of those things, because we, technically in urban schools, yeah, we got to do this stuff when we do it, but to really be able to, I think GRPS in particular, we've leaped in a couple of different areas, and so I think we should celebrate that. I mean, just touring Union and Ottawa, it's like, wow, this is a neat environment, and for kids and parents to feel good about that, I think it would be a good invitation for principals to brag a little bit too. Yeah, this is my hood, and this is what we're doing. I just think if we can figure out some ways to do that.
Reverend Matisse, I'm trying to think, because we certainly, when we have that, we've had ribbon cutting ceremonies, and I know with the pandemic, those couple of years, we were kind of we delayed those, and I can't even recall if I know we did something at Ottawa Hills, but I don't know if we did anything at Union because of the pandemic, and we had some challenges, that extended the timeline. I'm not sure we've done anything yet. We had something certainly at the big new Southwest Community High, but yeah, I mean, as we look forward, and we've talked about this before, the Innovation Central, most of that cost of that renovation you're not going to see. It's the new boilers and all that system.
Yeah.
You're not going to see a whole lot. So that's a good point. And we're very sensitive of that because people, they can't see something on the outside. They're going, where'd you spend $20 million, for heaven's sakes? And so there's probably some sense to doing something like that, those kinds of things.
It's a good idea. We ought to kind of pair it like the parade of homes, be the parade
exactly.
of schools.
I see.
And then maybe even involve some of our contractors out there and say, hey, come take a look too, Maybe they'd like to see those boilers.
They do.
But we just showcase every year our how we're spending the money.
Yeah, I think that our project partners would really like that opportunity to showcase the work that they did too, from architects, engineers, contractors, subcontractors, construction managers. I think that they will be very supportive of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're really nearing the end of a long
Yes, we
bond
are.
campaign.
Yes, we are.
There's a reason to have, some sort of living document, right, that celebrates all of the projects and the people and the companies that have contributed to what it is that our scholars are so deserving of, which is a great built environment. Yeah, I love this idea.
And to be able to talk about this is what's keeping us competitive, in terms of technology and things that we're doing. And again, teachers like to be able to report, this allowed me to do this kind of teaching, hands-on, project-based, and all those things. Once they know the technology, they can really think outside the box and stuff. So it'd be interesting to see, how they've taken it the next mile after it's been presented to them.
Yeah, and we have, Craig and his crew is embarking upon that upgrading 700 classrooms for in-classroom technology. And you're right, generally we would not have any big open house for that, but I think as we get those things done over the next couple of years, that absolutely has something to do to show them, here's what they now have, here's what teachers can do with this technology in the classroom to enhance teaching and learning, so.
Great
Good point.
ideas for recruitment,
That's right.
and
Yeah.
we've got to focus on that right now.
That's
Yeah.
Okay,
great.
thanks for those comments.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple more comments, if you will. Even though under policy it says none, I just will let you know that I think John Hemholt sent an email out, and the Senate Budget Committee came out with a pretty dismal budget for the school aid fund, which he says to ignore. And the House, I think, will come out this week with their version, at least the subcommittee. Keep in mind, in middle of May is the revenue estimating conference, which really will set the bar for completing the budget, and we're hoping to have something in place by July 1st, but who knows? It'll be negotiations again, but nonetheless, we're moving forward on everything and continue. I think I've mentioned before, I did meet with you folks. Bargaining is continuing on. We've met 3 times with the teachers union. Now have their financial proposal, which is actually fairly reasonable. So I think we're close to maybe we've had been in other years. And we meet with the parapro group tomorrow afternoon just for financial stuff. And we already have a proposal that I've worked up that I'm sure we'll see what they have, but they're the easiest groups. We'll probably have that settled tomorrow, quite frankly. And then just quickly, I did not put in here an ESSER update, and then I had an ESSER follow-up meeting this morning. Mary and I were at it. I thought, well, maybe, as you know, we've talked before, the ESSER 3 in particular, only a portion of those dollars were initially available for us to apply for when the application was approved in, I think it was mid-February now. And by virtue of an amendment, we have to apply for the remainder of the $74 million, about $26 million. Plus, there's been changes already to the initial plan. Continues to be changes to the ESSER 2 plan, which we're also still spending on. So what we're going to do, and have started doing already, is we are circling around now and meeting again with these stakeholder groups. So we met with the parent action leaders this morning for 2 hours to just give an update where we were, get additional input from them. The other thing is we've been in school now almost a year, and things have become apparent to us that weren't apparent back when we developed these budgets. So on Friday, we have the administrative group meeting for a few hours at the GRPS University, so folks here, building administration. We have a teachers group scheduled for mid-May to follow up with the teachers. Likely we'll talk, since we're late in the year, talk with the student leader group next fall again, just to see what their thoughts are. But the timeline I'm thinking, right, and then once we get a revised ESSER 2 and 3 budget, to again have a public comment period, standalone meeting for the greater public to see what the adjustments have been made and to provide their input before we finalize it, get your final sign off and file that amendment. I would say sometime during the summer. Again, it's not holding us back in terms of spending. We have enough approved so far, and given some of the challenges we've talked about with personnel shortages and supply chain, we have sufficient resources available right now, but like I said, I want to get those changes exposed to the public and get that application. And we're still, we're still getting more information. This week, actually today, started the School Business Association's annual meeting. It's here in Grand Rapids for the next 4 days, and we have some of my staff going, and there'll be ESSER updates on that thing. But we continue to learn more as time goes on, what we can do, what we can't do, but still no change in the deadline. So again, we're still looking at a ESSER 3 final deadline of summer of 2024, which, as you've heard, could be problematic for some of these construction things, the playgrounds in terms of the lead time, the technology that Craig's doing, the HVAC that we're doing with that, all those things. And the price keeps going up with all the shortages too. So it's continues to be challenging and keep track of this stuff. So that's just, you'll be hearing more as time goes on, obviously, on the ESSER stuff, but that's where we're at right now in terms of getting these meetings together and getting additional input and see how that formulates our amendment going forward. So, and that is all that I have, Ms. Schottky.
Anything else from the committee? All right, very good. We're adjourned. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.